Welcome to the Progressus Advanced Projects video on setup and configuration of WIP at a high level. We'll review WIP setups in Project Setup, the Project Posting Group, the General Business Posting Setup, and the Project Card. First, we'll review the Project Setup page. From the Role Center page, Setup, select Project Setup, and then the Project Setup page. The Calculate WIP number and the Post WIP number fields populate during the Progressus Assisted Setup, and is used during the Calculate WIP and Post WIP processes. Optionally, you can use your own number series and assign the number series manually here. Scrolling to the Create Project Fast tab, the Project Posting Group is a setting that determines the default GL accounts for WIP transactions related to the project. When a project is created, the Project Posting Group defaults into the setup. This setup defines the GL accounts on the credit side of the WIP transactions. You can click on Select from Full List to see the GL accounts for item usage, sales entries, expense resource, fixed accounts, etc. The GL accounts for the debit side of the WIP transactions are defaulted from the General Business Posting Group. There are separate accounts you can specify for WIP fixed accounts on items, expenses, resources, and WIP fixed accounts. When WIP is posted, the debit accounts are determined based on the Product Posting Group of the transaction and the Business Posting Group of the customer. The credit accounts are based on the Project Posting Group on the Project Card. Next, we'll look at the individual setups for the WIP on the Project Card. Opening the Project Card, the WIP Recognition Setting and Allocations Fast tab is where you define how WIP is calculated for the project. On the left side are the WIP settings for time and material contract type WIP calculations, and on the right side are the WIP settings for fixed contract type WIP calculations. The settings available for WIP are covered in a separate video. The next tab is the WIP Calculation Fast tab and the Calculate WIP Until Date field. Whatever date is entered here is used as a filter for which project ledger entries are included for the WIP calculation. The system will calculate WIP based on the date selection and whether it should calculate based on the usage entries and/or the sales entries. This is based on the WIP recognition settings and allocations. Entry type filter selection. Under the Time and Material section, the WIP percentage, TNM, determines what percentage of the project transaction is used for the WIP calculation. For example, you can use 50% of the sales value on usage transactions to generate the WIP posting. This is based on your configuration of the entry type filter and value type specified in WIP Recognition Settings and Allocation Fast tab. Frequently, 100% is used for TNM calculation. It works the same way for the WIP percentage, fixed price, in the Fix section. Once WIP is calculated, the WIP post entries are displayed here. Now let's walk through a WIP scenario. We'll set the value type to sales value, and the entry type filter will be set to usage and sales, open entries. For this example, a couple of project ledger entries were posted for the months May and June. The transactions that were posted were for expenses, items, resources, and GL accounts. Next, let's calculate the WIP. We'll calculate for the month of May, and we'll select the posting date of May 31st. For the Calculate WIP Until Date, we'll select through the end of May. Because of these dates, it won't take into account the June usage entries. Note the next two Boolean fields for Include Contract Type Tasks, TM, and Include Contract Type Tasks, FP. On every task, there's a contract type of either TNM or fixed. These Boolean fields determine which task contract types you want to include in the WIP calculation. In this example, we'll select both TNM and fixed contract type tasks and click OK. WIP is calculated, and you can click Yes to preview the posting accounts and see the values that were calculated. The Overview page shows it calculated only for May entries and displays the calculated values under WIP entry amount. For now, we won't post. You can see the summary of the calculated $4,831 value under WIP Posting Fast tab, Calc WIP. In this example, we calculated the WIP percentage at 100%. Next, we'll select Post WIP GL for the month of May. The WIP Posting Fast tab, Posted WIP field, shows the same value of $4,831 was posted to GL. If you click on the posted WIP value, you can review the GL accounts that were debited and credited. In this example, we calculated WIP for an individual project directly from a project card. However, if you want to calculate WIP for all projects at one time, you can do this from the Role Center. Processing, WIP, WIP and Revenue Recognition. The WIP and Revenue Recognition page allows you to see all projects. You can filter the list of projects if desired, or use Select More to choose specific projects. You can enter a Calculate WIP Until Date, a WIP Posting Date, and you also have the option to select both the contract types of T&M or Fixed. We previously calculated WIP for the month of May, and now we'll calculate it for the month of June. For the project that we ran WIP on for the month of May, you see the value of $4,831. So now we'll calculate WIP on this project for the month of June. The new calculated WIP value is $4,453 in the Calc WIP column. Once we run the Post to GL process, the posted WIP value is now $9,284.20. By using the WIP and Revenue Recognition page, you can calculate WIP for all projects in one page. Thanks for viewing this video on WIP Setup and Overview in Progressus Advanced Projects.